What happens when a bloodthirsty killer meets someone with an equal amount of literal bloodlust? A prolific serial killer in Strickfield faces down a blood-sucking creature of the night as it's vampire versus serial killer, and they're playing for keeps.
What's that? You want to be scared? Come with me. You will experience tales of horror, ghosts, and death. It is not recommended for the weak at heart. Listen in the dark. It's more fun that way. This is Weekly Spooky.
Hello, my friends. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for a little spooky in your weekly. And my friends, it's the last show before October. The air is getting cool, the leaves are falling and getting crunchy, and I smell pumpkin spice, even in my dreams. And in October, Weekly Spooky will be releasing 9 shows. From Terrifying and True, to Weekly Spooky, to our monthly Spooky, and of course, our Halloween special, which will be celebrating our 3rd year as a podcast. So I hope you're ready, and I hope you're subscribed, because this is the place to go to get yourself in the Halloween mindset. And while you're subscribing, if you want to help the show in a very easy and free way, just go to your favorite podcast app and give us a star rating. We really do appreciate it. We have 109 ratings on Apple Podcast. Give us a couple more. It helps people discover the show and give it a chance when they've never heard of it before. And if you want to support us more directly, you can join our Patreon for as little as $1 a month, and you get bonus shows, all kinds of behind-the-scenes content, and of course, my undying gratitude. We're at 89 backers right now on Patreon. Can you help me hit 100 by the end of the year? If you've been thinking about pulling the trigger on it, now is an excellent time. But speaking of excellent times, I can feel the chill in the air. I think it's time we go on a little road trip to Strickfield and see just what the Angel of Death has planned for us. Right after these words from our sponsors. Blood Rage by Rob Fields. It's been 7 months since I spoke to you. I believe it was during the winter, when I was sick with the flu. At the time, I was after Delphine Brewster Sloane's daughter, Rigby, who had gone on a murder spree, all because of her love for Franklin Sloane. Delphine's stepson turned into an obsession. I had Rigby prepared and was ready to claim her to satisfy my bloodlust. Unfortunately, my sickness became my undoing, and it nearly killed me. This allowed Rigby to escape. She's still out there as of now, which is 7 months from that time. Franklin and I haven't really talked. Delphine still calls me to check up on me and make sure I'm okay. I've been doing everything I can to keep my sex drive in control, but I'm to the point where I must mate. It has also been some time since I've claimed a victim. In addition to my sex drive, my bloodlust is also pushing me. It's late August. The summer semester has ended. The fall semester won't begin for 2 more weeks. I currently work as a college intern for the Strickfield Police Department. However, I'm also a serial killer. I'm sitting alone in my dorm room at Strickfield University, brushing my shoulder-length dirty blonde hair. I almost always never have a roommate. For the record, I have never killed any of my roommates. Not when all of them were innocent. During my time here at Strickfield U, I've had a grand total of 3 roommates. 1 flunked out, 1 got pregnant, and 1 left to live with her boyfriend. I sigh when I think about how I've lived in this dorm room, alone. It's good for being a serial killer, however, I'm in desperate need of a mate. Then I hear a knocking at my door. I put my brush down and go to see who it is. I open the door to see my potential new mate, Detective Drake Kazmierak. "Morning, Rage." I fake a smile. "Hey, you." When I see he's got food in his hands, I step aside and invite him in. "We've got a case," Drake says. "I brought you breakfast." Then he hands me the coffee he's picked up from our campus coffee house, The Bitter End, and breakfast from Denoyer's Grill. I remember that Drake lives 1 block from my dorm. The smell of dark roast coffee and the pancakes trigger that physical sensation of hunger. I want to sit down, to eat, but Drake is quick to tell me, "We need to go now. You can eat your breakfast on the way." "Let me put my shoes on and we'll leave," I say. After I put my sandals on, Drake and I walk to the other side of the campus, to the fraternity houses. Soon we're at the one we need to go into. I was able to wolf down my breakfast, but I still had my coffee in hand. 2 physical tastes that I really enjoy in life: coffee and pancakes. 2 officers are in the bedroom when we come in. They explain that a fraternity brother came back and found the body. As long as Drake is with me, I'm free to act as if I'm a full-fledged detective. He lets me walk around and look for clues. The first thing I check is the body, which I quickly notice is very pale. And then I see the 2 telltale puncture marks on the left side of his neck. I've seen enough on the body and look around the bedroom. I find nothing else of great importance. "Find anything, Devereaux?" Drake asks me. "No," I say. Drake examines the body himself. Then he looks around the bedroom, but he doesn't find anything. No doubt he'll want to talk to me when we're alone. As soon as Drake tells the officers to go and radio in for the coroner, he does just that. "I know you know something, Rage." I give him a blank look. There's no point in lying to him. He'll stay on me until I give him what he wants. "You're not going to believe me." "Talk to me," he insists. "Did you see the 2 marks on the neck?" I ask. "Yeah, hard to miss. What about him?" I just come right out with it. "It's a vampire." Drake gives me a funny look. "What?" "I told you you wouldn't believe me. I'm dead serious here, Drake. It's a vampire." He gives me another odd look. "I think you're hitting the books way too hard, Rage." "Fine. I'll go look for the vampire myself," I tell him. He quickly takes gentle hold of my forearm. "No, you can't, honey. Remember, you are still my intern until you graduate, which won't be for another year yet. You have to have me with you in order to conduct an investigation on your own." I fake a smirk. "Okay then, detective. Come with me. I'll prove to you that this was indeed a vampire and that vampires are quite real." Our eyes meet. Then Drake leans in and kisses me softly on the lips. I've known for many months that he feels emotions for me. In fact, I knew that from the first day we met, many months ago, when Chief Kazmierak, Drake's uncle, told him that he was to be my mentor from that point on. The chief also told me that we would be full partners once I graduated from the university and come to work for him full time. This isn't the first time that Drake's kissed me like this. I wrap my arms around him and kiss him back. I've read Drake's emotions and know that he's fallen in love with me. Also, I'm not blind to his true purpose for coming to Strickfield. He's looking to find the Angel of Death and put an end to everything. But what he doesn't know is that he's kissing the Angel of Death, the name the media has given me as a serial killer. Regardless, I've decided that this man, who is 17 years older than me, will be my new mate. For the record, I'm 21. We stop kissing. Then I tell him, If we're caught doing this, we could both be in a lot of trouble. We're supposed to be professional in a student-teacher manner. We've been seeing each other for months, Drake whispers to my lips. Are you going to tattle? I'm just saying those 2 officers could come back at any moment, I whisper back. Drake can't resist me and kisses me again. I kiss him back. I need him so badly that I almost lose control, but I stay focused on just kissing him. When we stop kissing, I take his hand. Let me show you that I'm not making this up. It is a vampire. How do you know, though, Rage? Drake demands. Because I've killed 3 of them before, I admit, without hesitation. Yes, I'm taking a big risk in telling him this, but he needs to know and understand. It's also part of my plan, which you'll find out about later. I raise my hand and show him a book of matches. I did find another clue on the body. Drake looks at it. Shakers. You weren't going to tell me, were you? No, but now that you know, you have to come with me. He's still holding me to him. Damn right I'm coming with you. Come on, we'll go investigate Shakers together. We'll have to wait until they open at 4. They're closed now. Fine. I'll come by and pick you up at 3:30. We share one more passionate kiss before he walks me back to my dorm. Drake and I walk into Shakers, a bar on the outskirts of the village that Strickfield University students tend to frequent. One of the workers is there when we walk in. We ain't open for another 15 minutes, he says. Drake shows him his badge. That's okay, we just want to talk to you. Were you here last night? Yeah, I close most every night, he replies. Drake shows him a picture of the victim. He look familiar to you? Yeah, he comes in here and drinks quite a bit, usually with his fraternity. Don't worry, he's over 21. I know he just graduated. Last night was goth night. He was in here with some different people. Goth people, shiny leather, dressed in black, look pale. He's been in here with them a couple of times. He was sure drunk off his ass last night. Do you know where the goth people came from? I ask. I mean, do you think they're from the university or maybe from somewhere else? He starts to tell us he doesn't really know, but then he stops himself. Hold it. Let me get into the computer real quick. It's one of those computers that doubles as a cash register. We wait for him as he touches the computer screen repeatedly. Then, got the record right here. Everything was paid for with a credit card. The transactions are still here. The card the guy used didn't have a signature on the back, so I had to ask for some ID. It was a student ID from North Ridgeway University. He hands me a copy of the ID. We always scan the IDs in case of card fraud. We ask him a few more questions before we head out. As soon as we're back in Drake's car, we both look at the printout again. Looks like we're heading home, honey. What, you need to go to class? Drake asks quickly. I thought you were done. No, I mean, we need to head to North Ridgeway. That's where I'm from. You do realize we have no jurisdiction in North Ridgeway, right? Drake asks. We don't. You're right. Then I fake an apologetic look. Maybe I'd better do this on my own. Drake shakes his head quickly. Not happening, Rage, I told you. I know what you said, I cut in, but the person I can get to help us is with the North Ridgeway PD, and I'm telling you right now, you do not want to meet her. She's my mom, and she will eat you alive. What, because I may be seeing you? Drake asks with a wicked smile. I fake a sneer. You are seeing me, but Mama may want you all to herself. She's one wickedly wild cougar. I'll take my chances with your mom. I sigh and shake my head slowly. Okay, you were warned. Mama answers the front door and is so delighted. Baby, you finally came home. Then she sees Drake. And who is this yummy guy? She looks at me again. Are you fucking him? Because if you aren't, I'll gladly take him. Drake is immediately caught off guard when he sees and hears Mama and looks mortified. I take his hand and give him a sympathetic look that says, I warned you. Here's the best way I can describe how Mama differs from me. Physically, I've overheard men at the campus describe me as a really hot chick. They've even commented on how big my tits are, but Mama, she's 50, but looks like she could easily pass for around 30 to 35. She's got a very hot body of her own, complete with long, wavy red hair that practically burns like fire, sparkling green eyes, six-pack abs, and even bigger tits than mine. I'll let you in on a little secret. Mama's tits are fake. She got them done when she was actually 30, as a birthday present to herself. Mine are, indeed, all natural, and Mama sometimes looks at me with jealousy because of it. Mama looks at me with a devilish grin. Baby, did you come home to tell Mama that you're gonna marry this man? Drake is mortified again. Oh my God. I let go of Drake's hand and take Mama's. Drake and I are on a very important case right now. I'm still an intern at Strickfield PD, and he's my mentor. We came here to look for somebody. A vampire. Mama gets real serious now. Inside. She steps aside and lets us come in. Mama's got a huge house, enough for a good 10 people to live in. This is the house I was raised in. Ever since I left for Strickfield University, she still chooses to live here, all by herself. Since Mama's still the hot cougar, she's out getting as many young college studs as she can. I catch her stealing peeks at Drake, and I know I have to keep him with me. If Mama gets him alone and works her feminine charms on him, she'll completely devour him. This woman has both incredible energy and a very high libido. As ravishing as she still looks at 50, almost no man can say no to her. Mama stops checking out Drake for the moment and motions for us to come to the den where she keeps her computers. You sure you're after a vampire, baby? Positive. I tell her about the puncture marks we found on our victim. Drake hesitates, but he points a shaky finger at Mama. You mean you actually believe in vampires too? Mama looks him right in the face. If baby tells you it's a vampire, then you better fucking listen to her. I've had plenty of dealings with those blood-sucking motherfuckers myself. I taught baby everything I know about vampires, among other things. I hand Mama the picture from Shakers. Have you seen this guy before? She shakes her head slowly. I don't believe so. That's why I've got this computer. She puts the photo into a scanner next to the black computer, her dark web computer. About a minute later, a graphic display appears of the guy. Maximilian Thorne. With a name like that, he's likely to be a vampire. She turns to us. And you came to me because your lead is here, and you need a cop from North Ridgeway to assist you. Correct, I reply. But Drake is very observant. Wait a minute. Assuming vampires are real, aren't they supposed to not cast a reflection? Mama's quick. Some vampires use old bloodstone to let them cast a reflection. That's old with an E on the end. Mama turns to me and folds her arms in front of her. You know, baby, I was expecting you home for Christmas. If I didn't know better, I'd swear you were avoiding me. Am I really that bad of a mama to you? Do I really embarrass you that much? I tell Mama that I stayed in Strickfield to help work cases with the police, which is true. Also, I've had to claim victims from a few of those same cases. In other words, Mama does not know that baby is a serial killer. Mama sighs. Unfortunately, that's one of the many sacrifices that comes with the badge. This is what you get for wanting to follow in my footsteps, baby. Drake brightens up. You're a detective too? Mama shows him her badge. Detective Chantel Devereaux, North Ridgeway PD, and yes, I'll help you with your vampire. In fact, I know where all the vampire hotspots are here in the city. Later that night, the three of us leave the house. This time we hop into Mom's fire engine red Corvette. Believe me, she loves tearing up the streets with her favorite toy. She speeds down one street, then another. Eventually, she veers right into the parking lot of a nightclub called After Hours. After going inside and looking around, we don't find anyone matching the description of the photo. We get back in the Corvette and go to a second club, Dark Paradise. No luck there. Third time's a charm. Third time's a charm when we arrive at Noir. As soon as we show the photograph to a bartender, she points Maximilian Thorne out. We approach him to talk. As soon as Mama flashes her badge, he throws his drink in her face and turns to run. Drake is very surprised at my agility when I put my hands on the table and leap right up on top of it. Then I launch myself and tackle Maximilian to the floor. He snatches me up and shows me his fangs before he shoves me away so hard that I fall and slide almost all the way to the jukebox. Looks like Maximilian Thorne is our vampire. Drake comes and helps me up. Your mom's already after him, come on! Drake and I catch up with Mama as she finally tackles the vampire. He's about to turn and face Mama when I come to her side. I remove my necklace, a crucifix, and hold it out to the vampire. When he's clearly not being affected, Mama shoves my arm down and produces her own crucifix. Thorne raises his hands in front of him now. I can tell Mama's pissed at me. Reagan, how many motherfucking times do I have to tell you? You need to have faith if you want your cross to work on these fucking things. How many times? She only called me Reagan when she was upset with me. Sorry, Mama, I say. She sighs and speaks calmly. I'm sorry I went off on you, but this is very important. She puts a hand on my forearm. Remember where you came from and who raised you right, baby. Mama still holds her cross as she grabs Maximilian by his hair. Now you motherfucker, you were at a bar called Shakers over in Strickfield. I suggest you tell my baby girl here everything that she wants to know. Maximilian seems ready to argue with Mama, but then he sees me and suddenly becomes very scared. What the hell are you? No doubt he's seeing what many of my past victims have called my evil face. They've said that my eyes have glowed red or that I'm pure evil. I've often wondered how I can be truly evil if I'm protecting innocence time and time again. For the record, I have never taken an innocent life, not even when my bloodlust is nagging me to be satiated. Every serial killer has a code they follow, and I have mine. Mama raised me to be a good girl. I truly believe that it was because of her teachings and values that I destroy the scum that I find and leave the innocents alone. Killing innocents is a line I will never cross. Maximilian spews out everything he knows to Mama, just like that. He reveals that it was his sister, whose name is Sharanda, that drank the fraternity boy. Apparently, he thought she was going to turn him, but she only intended to feed. Maximilian tells Mama that Sharanda's crypt is in the big cemetery a few blocks from the university. We listen as he gives us all the details. Then he points to me. Just keep her away from me. Mama looks right at me. Then she turns back to him. What is your problem with my daughter? Maximilian points at me again. Trust me, you do not know what true evil is. And he just pissed Mama off. She produces a stake and jams it right into his heart. He dies after some twitching and shrivels up until he becomes bones. He's not a master vampire, so we don't also have to decapitate him. Mama turns to Drake and me. Okay, I've got weapons in the car. I can tell you right now that this Sharanda is not going to be alone. She suddenly reaches out and slaps Drake's shoulder. Hey, head in the game, boy. You just saw one vampire. Shit's about to get real from here. Now's not the time to be a fucking pussy, especially when you're fucking my baby girl. But, Drake sputters, again caught off guard by Mama. Let's get going, Mama says. We enter the North Ridgeway Memorial Cemetery. It's still summer, but it happens to be a cool night. Fog is all over the graveyard. I can read Drake's face and know that he's scared. Personally, I can't blame him. He's finally learning that vampires are real. We follow Maximilian's directions until we come to the crypt he told us about. We have to whisper to talk to each other for the moment. There's a vamp outside, Mama, I tell her. How do you know he's a vampire? Drake asks. Use your mirror. There's enough light by the crypt. Turn the mirror around and look. Drake gasps and nearly drops his mirror. I catch it and give it back. Careful and be quiet. Vampires have very, very good hearing. No telling how many of those fucking bloodsuckers are inside, Mama tells us. We're just going to have to launch an all-out assault. She glances at Drake as he's holding a weapon Mama gave him. Remember, aim for the heart. Mama holds up her hand and counts her fingers down from 5 to 0. Now we move. Mama takes down the vampire outside by firing a stake into his heart. He doesn't even scream as he falls over and dies. We enter the crypt and find 4 more vampires, including a girl. She must be Sharanda. The vampires see the 3 of us and stand up. They show us their fangs and produce their claws. Drake and I don't give them time to think. We both fire our weapons and catch 2 of them in the heart with stakes. I breathe with satisfaction as my bloodlust is finally sated. That just leaves the 1 remaining male vampire, and Sharanda. You won't stop me, Sharanda hisses, transforming into a giant bat. Then she flies right past us. Baby, I've got this, Mama. I turn and run out of the crypt and pursue Sharanda. Using the skills I've accumulated both from Mama and my many years as a serial killer, I track Sharanda to another part of the cemetery. You should have never left your pack, Sharanda purrs at me. Someone has to destroy you, I tell her. You killed that fraternity boy and left him dead in his room. She laughs, coldly. He thought he was so special because he was in our company. He wanted to become one of us. He thought we were just glamour and high society. So I seduced him and finished him off by drinking him dry. And by your admission, you've just condemned yourself into my hands, I say. Sharanda laughs again and raises her claws. I produce a crucifix and bring her to her knees. I already know the real truth about crosses. Faith in a crucifix doesn't mean belief in God or religion. It means believing that the crucifix will truly protect you. My lack of faith earlier was all just an act. And though I did kill 1 vampire a little bit ago, which satiated my bloodlust, I still want to kill Sharanda. Sharanda shrieks and launches herself at me to make me drop my cross. The 2 of us fight now. Like I told Drake, I've already bested 3, now 4 other vampires. Thanks to my photographic memory, I know how they operate and can anticipate their moves. Sharanda makes the big mistake of trying to warp behind me. I have a bottle of holy water in my hand and bring it up fast to splash her right in her face. She screams and covers her head as she falls to her knees. Then she finds out I'm much stronger than I look when I quickly raise my foot to her chin and connect hard enough to knock her out. Sharanda wakes up to find that she's secured to the top of a burial vault in the middle of another crypt. I've got her bound with bungee cords and a crucifix just above her heart. No! You've bound me with your accursed cross, she growls. You've weakened me. I can't move. Yes, and now you belong to me. I show her my smartphone. I don't know every victim you've killed, but I do have 1 picture to show you. Remember the fraternity boy you killed? His name was Sheldon Hayes. He may have been trying to get in with your group, but he hadn't taken a life. He was still innocent. You killed him in cold blood. And now I claim you. Sharanda laughs. You think you're going to end the killing with just me? Oh, I know there are many more of you out there, I assured her. But right now, I'm only concerned with you. Tonight, you're going to be my latest victim. You're bound by that crucifix, which means you're staying right where you are. Sharanda locks her eyes with mine and tries to glam me. But she's in for a surprise that one of her kind would never expect. She winces and finally starts screaming, seeing that I'm not like other human beings. She finally turns her eyes away from mine. Like her dead brother, she also demands, "What the fuck are you? You're true evil incarnate." Now she's really frightened. "Get away from me!" I caress the side of her face. Tonight, your time as a vampire will end. I produce a stake and raise it. And now, Sharanda Thorne, let the punishment fit the crime. Sharanda screams as I bring the stake down with both hands and drive it right through her heart. I moan in great satisfaction as I feel my bloodlust being satiated for the second time tonight. Yes, vampires are undead creatures, but my bloodlust doesn't care about that. It's still a kill, and now she joins my hundreds upon hundreds of kills that are neatly logged in my photographic memory. I watch Sharanda shrivel up until she's nothing more than bones. Not a master vampire. Rage! I turn around to see Drake standing there. What did you see? I ask him. He raises his hands. Okay, I'm a believer now, and I know I definitely don't want to make you mad. If I could feel humor, I'd probably find this statement funny. Perhaps one day I'll finally come to know emotions and feel humor. Drake had seen everything. This is the first time that anyone has seen me perform a kill. In this case, that works in my favor, and was all part of my plan. If Drake ever suspected me of being the angel of death, this should throw him off my trail. Mama finds me and congratulates me on my kill. The three of us talk about how we're going to close the case of Sheldon Hayes. Since we destroyed all the vampires responsible for his murder, Mama suggests just letting the case be cold. Drake is quick to agree with her. We head back to Mama's house so that Drake and I can get in his car and head back to Strickfield. Of course, Mama tells me not to be a stranger and to come home more often. She also tells Drake that if he hurts me in any way, then he's going to answer to her. If you only knew, Mama. If you only knew. When we return to Strickfield University, I let Drake walk me back to my dorm. He tells me to let him do all the talking to his uncle about our case. He assures me everything will be all right. When we reach my dorm, I unlock and open my door. Well, I guess I'll see you at the station tomorrow, Drake says. I sense he really doesn't want to leave me, and I know I can't let him go. I take his hand. Stay here with me. It's just me here, I don't have any roommates. Drake seems uncertain. Should we be doing this? Like you said earlier, I'm your mentor and you're my intern. Our eyes meet. We've kept our dating a secret all this time, I remind him. Drake and I quickly move into the dorm. He kicks the door shut as we share a deep, passionate kiss. When we come apart, I take his hand again and lead him to my bed. My sex drive is literally screaming at me as we undress each other. I finally have a mate again. The next morning, Drake and I enter the Strickfield PD with bags of Denoyer's Grill in our hands. We exchange morning pleasantries with Drake's uncle before we head to the break room. Since we're alone, we put our food down so Drake can pull me to him and kiss me. You think your uncle knows? I ask. I really don't care if Uncle Jeffrey knows, Drake replies. I'm not going to kick you to the curb if he does. You do, and Mama will be after you. Literally, I remind him. I can tell Drake's still intimidated by Mama. I put his mind at ease when I kiss him. Then he looks into my eyes. I love you, he says. I just return his look and caress the side of his face. After that, we sit down and have breakfast. He tells me he's frustrated that he hasn't been able to catch the angel of death yet. I know I'm in a very dangerous situation now and must always stay many steps ahead of him. Oh yes, Drake, you truly have captured the angel of death. More than you realize, my mate. Well, the angel of death has certainly left an impression on our hometown of North Ridgeway as well as our beloved Strickfield. I hope you enjoyed that story. It's another piece of the puzzle in Rob Field's universe of Strickfield, Ohio. And I always enjoy going back to Strickfield. It's like my home away from home. And speaking of homes away from home, I hope you're feeling very at home right here, getting ready for your spooky season. Because I know I am. I can't wait. I can't wait for Halloween. I'm actually going to be at Cinema Wasteland, a horror movie convention in Cleveland, Ohio this weekend, September 30th through October 2nd. If you want to swing by and say hello, just check out cinemawasteland.com. And the following week, I'll be at Freddy Fest at the Mahoning Drive-In in Lehighton, Pennsylvania, just hanging out with my dog and watching Freddy Krueger movies. So, If you happen to be out that way, you just might spot me loose in public. And I want to say a huge thank you to the people who have been joining our Patreon. We're at 89 backers, which is the most backers we've ever had on Patreon. I really deeply do appreciate it. And speaking of Patreon and appreciating, I want to say a big thank you to our Patreon podcast boosters, folks who pay just a little bit more to hear their name at the end of every episode. And they are Christopher Sullivan, Brent McCullough, Gino Lyons, Steve King, Karen Weemet, Jack Kerr, Jeff and George Hilton, Craig Cohen, and Kevin Fry. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And if you want to get involved directly in helping us keep the spooky coming every week and beyond, just go to WeeklySpooky.com, click on Patreon, and as little as $1 a month gets you all kinds of fun bonuses and lets you know you're directly making the show successful. But if you want to show us a little bit of love in another way, tell a friend, share it with a buddy. I sure do appreciate it. But for now, it's time for me to take off. For my executive producer, Rob Fields, my producer, Dan Wilder, and my composer, Ray Mattis, I will talk at you, Spookies, next week.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to find your way back next week. But for now, you are safe. Trust me. Ha 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 ha!